Imus in the morning.
Well, kind of a surprise this morning to talk about his great friend, Senator Edward Kennedy. Senator Chris Dodd will be on this morning. Coming up in just a couple hours here. And then in about an hour, Jim Nance. What's Nance on, Bernie?
To chat. Talk about Tiger playing out in Jersey City this weekend. Football. Yeah, Nance does football, doesn't he? Yeah. To be honest. For about 10 years now.
Well, I mean, you think of Nance as basketball and golf, but he does everything.
And football.
Right. And then Carl Jeffers is going to be on. The Godfather's here this morning. And Blind Mississippi White Boy Pig Feast Dupree with the No More Cows Baby Blues. This morning is our last morning on RFD. And Feast wrote a blues song about it.
Yes.
And he's going to have that for us. That's going to be good, isn't it? So, yeah. Feast is here now. Hi, Feast. How are you?
I'm a little melancholy. But that's my job.
Your job is to sing the blues, so essentially you would be melancholy almost all the time.
It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
It is?
And being associated with a person like you, I am melancholy 24/7. Keep me in business. I'd like to thank you for that.
I don't think it's necessarily
I'm not attacking you. I just say the misery that you incur turn into dollars for the fees. You like my muse.
Stupid.
My muse for the blues. It's used.
Thankfully, Warner Wolf, who will do sports coming up, doesn't get you to try to sing some of his stuff that he does. So that would be a disaster.
Yes.
He did.
I declined.
Why didn't you? I understand that,
but why? It just seemed like the proper thing to do. It didn't really work for me.
A little of a funny answer. It is 7 minutes after the hour, honey.
I feel another blues song.
Oh, my God.
Really? Now it begins. Now it begins.
What, you have
Here we
4
go.
hours?
Here are the
Hey, I have great news for the golf tournament. I'm going to auction off my 54 5-window Chevy.
Wow. You are kidding. My God.
It's a 1954 Chevrolet Model 3100 custom cab, 5-window. Has done a nut and bolt complete frame-off restoration. Got a 350 short block in it. Edelblock dual plane intake, Holley fuel injection. Automatic transmission. Independent suspension, power pack, sway bar, disc brakes. Equipped with air conditioning. Got a CD player in it, AM, FM, iPod situation, power windows, doors. All glass is tinted, safety laminated. All chrome has been triple plated. I mean, it's a beautiful truck. Painted, it's kind of a sort of a red primer. Great looking truck. I'm auctioning on, built by PJ's Classic Shop down there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Phil built it. I'm going to auction it off. It's worth around $70,000. I'm going to start the auction at $50,000. And I will deliver it to your house. So it's here in New Mexico now, but you buy it at the golf tournament. Of course, 100% of the money goes to Imus Cattle Ranch for Kids with Cancer. I'll have the truck delivered to your house.
Now wait, you're hedging
on me.
You just said you would deliver it. And you just said you'll have it delivered.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to drive the truck, but I'll show up I'll personally, okay, how's this? I will personally deliver it.
Now we're talking.
How does that sound?
You'll drive it into somebody's driveway.
Do I hear 60,000?
I don't know about that, but I mean, I'll show up there with Brant when the truck pulls up with your truck.
Put this stupid.
You know, take some photographs with the man. 10 minutes after the hour, Jim Nance, Senator Chris Dodd, Carl Jeffers, the Godfather, and Blind Mississippi White Boy Pig Feast Dupree. Some Bernie briefing, Lou with pithy comments, amusing. Warner with sports, man, it's all coming up. Tony Powell's in the house. We'll see if he's brought something that we could get on. This could be great. Or it could be an ugly morning for Tony. It's 10 minutes after the hour. You decide. It's time for the news now. And here with that is Charles McCord. Good morning, Charles.
As many as perhaps 25,000 people have filed past the casket of Senator Ted Kennedy. Some mourners standing in line more than 2 hours to pay their respects at the Presidential Library in Boston that bears the name of his slain brother. Marianne Camp was first in line outside the library and said Senator Kennedy's passing reminds her so much of former President John F. Kennedy.
His whole speech about ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country had such a powerful influence on me that I joined the Peace Corps at age 60 and stayed in it for 8 years.
Senator Kennedy's funeral is set for tomorrow. President Obama is scheduled to eulogize his former Senate colleague before Kennedy is laid to rest then tomorrow evening at Arlington National Cemetery.
What do you mean scheduled? I mean, he's going to do it, isn't he?
I'm sure he is, absolutely.
Unless Hurricane Danny.
Unless there's something that could be a problem.
This is not one of those things where, like, they have one of these benefits and they say scheduled to appear. Like you too, and they have no intention of appearing.
No, I'm certain not.
Well, it's a wonderful outpouring for Senator Kennedy, and Bernie and I were talking about it this morning.
Very emotional.
So. Yeah, and for a lot of people, I mean, it's the last brother. Well, for everybody, it's the last brother. But it is 12 minutes after the hour. What else
40, in fact, Iman, of Kennedy's fellow senators and former Presidents Carter, Clinton, and both Bushes will attend tomorrow's funeral at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Basilica in Boston's Mission Hill section, which is a short distance from the library, and then the bodies to be flown down to Washington for burial tomorrow evening at Arlington. A girl who was abducted in Northern California 18 years ago turns up alive. Jaycee Dugard was snatched from the streets in the El Dorado County town of Myers back in 1991, just 11 years old, and her whereabouts remained completely unknown, apparently, until she walked into a police station this week and identified herself. Philip Garrido, a convicted sex offender, arrested along with his wife for Dugard's abduction. Authorities say Garrido fathered 2 children with Jaycee during the long years of her captivity and forced her to live in isolation in this weird warren of shacks that was totally obscured from view even of neighbors that was located in this guy's backyard. And now she has begun the procedure, the job of being reunited with her family and brought literally into the modern world. They say she had never seen a doctor, had never been to school, anything like that, had been kept in complete isolation in these shacks that were set up in this guy's backyard.
How'd she happen to walk in the police station?
Well, it's a weird story. This guy was handing out some religious literature on the campus of the University of California at Berkeley, and a couple of police officers saw him with 2 children, 2 minor children, and thought that the whole thing, something was just wrong. And so they talked to him and said they were going to have to do a background check on him. And when they did, they discovered that he was a sex offender from a case a long time ago. And they alerted this guy that he was on parole. They contacted his parole officer, who told him to come in for a meeting. And following intensive questioning there, Garrido revealed that he and his wife had kidnapped Dugard. And the whole thing unfolded from that point, but it's just very strange, and there are a lot of questions still to be answered.
Well, a lot of old Don Imus comedy albums in his house, another I-Man memorabilia. Apparently he's a big I-Man fan, this guy.
Where does that come from?
It's a fact. In fact, he's not going to make the golf outing this year.
This is not. How is this amusing?
His idol.
I mean, what's wrong with you?
Model, that's all I'm saying.
Well, here's speaking of as long as Bernie pipes up, God. Charles.
Yes.
Oh, you think this is funny, Charles?
Is offensive.
It's a quarter after the hour. Well, here's what happened. I'm talking to Bernie at 3:30 New Mexico time this morning. He tells me this story, but the way he tells it, the guy, his wife, and this girl and the two kids all showed up together for a scheduled parole meeting at his parole officer's place, and that's how they...
the cops got suspicious. That was the report last night. Apparently, there are new details emerging this morning.
In other words, Bernard just didn't have the story just so screwed up.
No, he has it correct. When this group showed up at the police station for the meeting with the parole officer, the parole officer said, well, wait a minute. I've never seen these other people before at any of our parole meetings, the two youngsters and this adult woman. And he introduced the woman, now 29-year-old woman, as Alyssa. But apparently turns out that Alyssa was, in fact, Jaycee Dugard.
Nice try to divert attention from your biggest fan.
No. I thought you said they were handing out religious literature at Berkeley.
The guy was, Garrido was, originally, and he had these two minor children with him and a couple...
Handing out the literature. Well, what happened there?
A couple of police spotted them there on the campus and thought something, it was just almost intuitive, something didn't look right about this guy with these two younger children.
Like whenever you go out to eat with your wife.
You son of a bitch. So what happened? No wonder this is our last morning on RFD. I mean, Jesus, God, they can, So... what happened then?
The cops approached him, told him that they were going to have to run a background check on him before he could be allowed to continue handing out these tracts, these pamphlets.
And
when
so
they
did
ran the background check, they found out that he was a registered sex offender dating back to the 1970s, convicted of kidnapping and raping a 25-year-old woman.
Well, so then how did they get from there to all of them for the picnic or whatever the hell they had at the parole officer?
The parole officer called Garrido, said, hey, I want to talk to you.
So they didn't arrest him handing out religious literature there at Berkeley.
Apparently
they let him go. They let him go. So he went home with the kids.
So, and then the parole officer set up a meeting with him the following. This was on Tuesday, the incident on campus. Then on Wednesday, he had the meeting with the parole officer, and he shows up with his wife, these two youngsters, and this adult woman, who turns out to have been Jaycee.
As I said in our conversation this morning at 3:30, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bernie.
But you didn't say. You see, here's the thing that's strange about it. It's 18 after the hour now, so we have to. I mean, I'm sure you understand. Y'all listen to radio and watching RFT that we go through this every time we have some kind of interesting news story. That I have to cross-question these bastards, Charles and Bernie, to get to the facts. All right, no, just be quiet. All right, we're at Berkeley. We're passing out literature. We got the two kids with us.
On Tuesday.
What? Well, I don't care what Dan wants, stupid.
You want to know exactly how it unfolded.
Well, I don't care. Now, wait a minute. That was unfortunate. I don't know why I lashed out at you.
No reason.
You stupid. There's no reason. I apologize.
Force of habit.
Okay. Yes. We're passing out literature with the two kids at Berkeley on Tuesday. Information about Jesus at Berkeley, incidentally. So we already know we're dealing with somebody who is not wired like my 54 5-window Chevy. I'll pick up till it'll be auctioned off at the golf show.
The Imus Ranch.
Yeah. So the cops, they shake the guy down, run a background check on him, and tell him, and then call his parole officer. So this guy, but they let him go.
Apparently so.
So he goes home. Well, what do you mean apparently? So they let him go?
That's the story that we get.
Okay. They let him go. He goes home with the kids. It doesn't occur to this. Oh, man, what is he thinking? He's already been hassled by the cops. So they've run a check on him. He then gets a call from the parole officer, probably an unscheduled visit. So rather than go down himself, He takes everybody with him.
He talked to
a...
KCRA in Sacramento in what is described as a rambling telephone interview, I-Man, from jail, and said he was relieved at being caught. He says, quote, "I feel much better now. This is a process that needed to take place," end quote.
Oh, I see. Well, then, okay.
And then he said it was a heartwarming story.
Thank God he didn't call the station I used to work for in Sacramento, KXOA. Would have been a nightmare, wouldn't it? And Bernie would have really made the connection then.
Hat on though when he walked into the parole office.
Well,
and he did give a rambling interview.
That is coming up on 21 minutes past the hour. Blind Mississippi. White Boy Pig Feast Dupree with the No More Cows Baby Blues. That's coming up. Then we'll talk later on with Jim Nance. The Godfather's coming in. Senator Chris Dodd, Carl Jeffers. Now, what's coming up
Michael
in sports
Vick made his debut. Entered the game, second play from scrimmage, 6 plays, completed 4 passes, ran once, and lined up as a wide receiver. Mixed ovation. The stadium was half filled.
Incidentally, after this discussion we've just had, Lou had as a scheduled bumper, Hayes Carl's "She Left Me for Jesus."
That's still going to do it, I think, too.
Well, here's what's kind of interesting. When John Peake and the kids from Highland University over in Las Vegas, New Mexico, were over here for the big calf roping deal, big team roping situation, rather, which was great. I didn't notice, but my wife noticed that a couple of the girls were wearing, crosses, and Wyatt told me, said a couple of the cowboys with them had crosses on their saddle, which I didn't notice either. In other words, they're practicing Christians, which is good. So when we gave them a tour of Reader's Digest New Mexico, and then, of course, the main house, in the dining room, I have that big stereo system that I gave to the ranch, so built those big Dalquist speakers. And I always play songs for them, people, when they come by. And the 2 songs I play for them are Hayes Carl, "She Left Me for Jesus," because I think it's amusing. And now Willie Nelson's "I Ain't Going Down on Brokeback Mountain." That stuff ain't right. And the kids, by the way, sing along with it, just screaming. That stuff, well, it's not stuff, ain't right. So I'm playing Hayes Carl, "She Left Me for Jesus," and I'm not aware, because I'm about half out of it, that all of the kids from Highlands University are Christians and may not get it. But so I wondered why they all look horrified when Hayes gets to the punchline and "She Left Me for Jesus." It started out
We've been
okay.
dating since high school. We never once left this town. We used to go out on the weekends, and we'd drink till we drown. But now she's acting funny, and I don't understand. I think that she's found some other man. She left me for Jesus, and that just ain't fair. She says that he's perfect. How could I compare? She says I should find him, and I know peace at last. If I ever find Jesus, I'm kicking his ass.
30 minutes after the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Warner Wolf and Blind Mississippi Pig Feast Dupree are both coming up. Then a little later this morning from CBS Sports, Jim Nance, and then Senator Chris Dodd and Carl Jeffers. The Fox Business Network Business Report, key stock indexes struggled through the Thursday session and managed to close higher. The blue chips have advanced for 8 sessions in a row. Dow Jones up 37. Futures
are up. Dow up 26. NASDAQ 7.5. S&P up nearly 4.
Crude oil yesterday sold for $72.49 a barrel. $72.49 a barrel. Spot gold for $945.50 an ounce. DirecTV looking to give its subscribers more viewing options. I'm a big DirecTV fan, of course. It's reported the satellite TV provider is talking to the TBS and TNT cable networks about an agreement to offer their programs online. Good God almighty.
What's up with that?
And Boeing shares jumped more than 8% yesterday. The airplane maker said the long-delayed maiden flight of its 787 Dreamliner jet will take place at the end of the year, and they're looking for that to do something for them. So already did something for them. That's the Fox Business Network Business Report, sponsored by them. You can watch them on Channel 43, Time Warner Cable, there in Manhattan, or check your local listings around the country. And speaking of DirecTV, it's Channel 359 on DirecTV. Time for a little sports now with Warren and Wolf, and that's sponsored by NetJets. For information, visit netjets.com or call them 1-877-NetJets. You can use my name because I've been a customer there. Call old Colucci out there. I've been a customer for coming up on 13 years.
Good morning, Iman. NFL exhibition last night in Philadelphia with the stadium only half filled. Michael Vick entered the game on the second play from scrimmage. He was in for 6 plays, completed 4 passes for a total of 19 yards, ran for 1 yard, and lined up as a wide receiver. Here was the call as Vick entered the game by Merrill Reese, WYSP Philadelphia.
Here comes Vick, and you can hear the crowd. Out comes Avant, and let's see where Vick lines up. He lines up behind center. Vick in the gun, takes the snap. He shovels it underneath, and coming up to the 31-yard line is J.D. McCoy, a pickup of 4.
Here was Vick after the game.
I'm almost there. I'm only about 70% there. So right now I'm just, basically going off my natural ability. And, once I get myself in tip-top shape, sky's the limit.
Eagles beat the Jags 33-32 on David Akers' 34-yard field goal with 19 seconds left. Baseball, Texas beat the Yanks 7-2, take 2 out of 3. Rangers second baseman Ian Kinsler, 3-run homer and a solo homer. The loser
Where does that put him on the race with Boston?
Well, the deal is the Red Sox blew a chance to cut it to 5, losing to the White Sox last night 9-5.
Well, where are they
now,
in the wild card?
Their lead is only a game and a half over Texas in the wild card. In fact, things got so bad in the Red Sox game, trailing 9-2, Terry Francona put in his shortstop, Nick Green, to pitch the 8th and 9th innings. No runs, no hits. Start him. Dodgers beat the Rockies, so they take 2 out of 3 and lead by 4. And only 5,000 fans showed up in Miami. The Mets beat the Marlins 10-3. Golf, first round of the Barclays tournament in Jersey City. Sergio Garcia and 2 others share the lead, 6 under par, 65. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, 5 back, 1 under, 70. Oh, hey, I-Man. No. Hey, I-Man. I've got I want to tell you something.
What?
Oh, that's it. Well, Little League World Series, California beat.
You'll see me in September? Today is the last day here at the Imus Cattle Ranch. The kids with cancer and me, we take them back to the airport today. And then we come back to New York in a day or two. So, hence, so I'm sneezing, Warner. So,
well, the story out of the Minnesota Vikings locker room is that the team is divided over the signing of Brett Favre in what the Vikings say is causing a schism, a division or a split. A schism. It was defensive end Jared Allen.
I don't know where this came from. Like I said, I don't think anybody on this team knows what schism is, yet alone could use it in a sentence format. I thought it was an STD when I first heard it, and I was like, whoa, we preach abstinence around these parts.
It's a schism.
25 to the hour. Blind Mississippi. Flyboy Pig Feast Supreme with the No More Cows Baby Blues coming up. Right after this. All the rooms.
down from your door. I woke up this morning, I had them states were blue. I woke up this morning, I had them states were blue. Well, I looked over the corner, baby, and grandma seemed to have them too.
Mourning the passing of Ted Kennedy. 70 degrees and cloudy. I'm Charles McCord with headlines you're going to be talking about on 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com. Many of the people who took time out to pay their respects to Senator Kennedy say they did so because he had made time for them at some point during his 47 years in office. About 20,000 people, maybe 25 according to the family, have filed past the senator's closed casket at his brother's presidential library in Boston. A memorial service is being held in Chicago today to mark the 54th anniversary of the death of civil rights figure Emmett Till. The 14-year-old Chicagoan was murdered in Mississippi for whistling at a white woman. This weekend marks the 4th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina slamming the Gulf Coast and in particular New Orleans. Massive storm causing more than $100 billion in damage to that region. Weather Channel forecast here could have some activity from Tropical Storm Danny today and tomorrow. Nothing very serious, they don't think. I'm Charles McCord with breaking news and stimulating talk on 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com.
Coming up on 18 till the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Still to come this morning, Senator Chris Dodd, Carl Jeffers, and the Godfather. But please welcome now to the Imus in the Morning program. Sound like the blues. One of my favorite blues singers. This is my second favorite blues singer.
who would be your first?
Every other blues singer on the planet.
Gets old.
I'm Mississippi White Boy Pay Fees Dupree with the No More Cows Baby Blues. All right, Pete.
Used to watch Imus in the morning, every day on my TV. But just as it was a born-in, it's DOA and RIP on RFD. Was the I-Man's aimless prattle not as compelling as watching cattle or a program on the proper way to change a donkey's shoes? 'Cause now there's no more video ephemera from that play school TV camera. I got the No More Cows Baby Blues. My mood is somewhat dour now that I can't see Imus no more. Just the Gaither Gospel Hour and the Marty Stewart Show. What was the deciding factor? Now that the fat farmer ladies done sung, folks more attracted to their tractors than the cowboy with half a lung. I've been watching postcards from Nebraska and that Little Britches Rodeo. And our 5 Sons, Alaska. I love toy trains and the Big Joe Poker Show. But I'm in mourning, 'cause you left us without warning. Now it's just this week in agribusiness. How are we to bear that kind of emotional load? So excuse me if I opine, but I'm pining for them bovines, 'cause there was something about them heifers being on the same program with Carl Jeffers. But apologies to Craig Crawford. Gotta change that slogan he once offered. So set him up, Joe. Please make it just one more cow for my baby and one more for the road.
Fly, Mississippi. Aboard Pay Fees Dupree on the I'm Mississippi Morning program, 16 till the hour. Rob Bartlett appearing at the Brokerage Comedy Club on Long Island tomorrow night. For tickets and information, will Blind be out? Will you be out there with old Rob? You open for him? Okay, we'll go to robshow.com and find out.
Right now.
Or just show up at the Brokerage tomorrow night to see Rob and Carol Foster performing tomorrow night in the city at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. at Stand Up New York. Go to standupnewyork.com. Check that out. Coming up on a quarter.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Let's call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow starts the same old thing again.
Imus in the morning.
It is 10 minutes till the hour. Jim Nance and Chris Dodd, Carl Jeffers, all coming up swing. Well, I had some unfortunate and pointless email exchanges yesterday with Jill. What's Flipper? What's her name,
Flipper.
Bernie?
Yeah.
Flipper. Who and what does she do?
She's a weekend producer, and she does something with the website, WABCRadio.com.
Okay. And she has something to do with Mark Levin,
yes, she
right?
posts his rant of the day on WABCRadio.com.
Okay, so we had this discussion yesterday because I wanted to get the rant of the day and play it. But, of course, you can't get last night's rant. Levin's on all over the country from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on 300-400 radio stations. But you can't, but for whatever reason, I can't get last night's rant until almost by the time my program's over. But I can get, but once I get it, so we're going to be a day behind with the rant.
That's
fine.
fine.
My point.
No, it really does. That'll work.
Is that okay,
so
Chuck?
here's
that's fine.
So here's the latest Mark Levin. Right. She had an idea for the Imus insult of the day, and I said I didn't insult people. I merely made observations about them. No, I mean, it's not. The fact I'm a reporter.
That's right.
Insulting people.
Professional observer of the passing scene.
You know, if I say, for example, that Chuck Schumer is a schmuck, that's not an insult. That's
You're
a
not being
fact.
pejorative. You're being descriptive.
No. Thank you. There's my boy,
The government
Levin.
has an interest in ending life. And don't tell me it doesn't. We've seen it. We've seen it since Roe v. Wade. It's turned death of other people, of the unborn, into a constitutional right. It's a very thin line between that and those of us who live outside the womb. Once you dumb down life, you promote death. And we see it. We see it in these crumbling societies. Great Britain, as the saying goes, once ruled the waves. Now it rules nothing, not even its own borders. And they lost that power in a matter of decades. We have states in our own country, as I highlight in Liberty and Tyranny in Oregon. The Barbara Wagner case, which I have made famous. She is since deceased. The state compelling people into its health care system. Then when they really need it, they deny it.
An unfortunate book plug there. And an ego shot for himself. But other than that, another great rant from
You Bet.
the great one. What's coming up, man?
Microsoft had to apologize for this online ad that they had, which is hilarious, in which they had initially they had an Asian man, an African-American man, and a white woman. And for the Polish market, they actually superimposed a white man's head on the black man's body for the Polish Microsoft online ad, offending a lot of people. And they didn't even take out they left the man's hand was still white, and the head was black. And
why did they do that?
Well, they claimed that maybe for the homogenous Polish society or something like that, but it was offensive. They've apologized.
Oh, I see.
And there's a Michael Jackson joke there somewhere, but not here. They also superimposed a bowling bag and a dish of
you. Well, why is it hilarious?
You have to see it. It's absolutely. It's making all the rounds on the internet. It's absolutely hilarious.
Okay.
And also, the president yesterday on Martha's Vineyard, he was caught. He was biking without a helmet with his family, and he's catching some heat for that, which is something for the haters, I get. But at least he didn't have a cigarette hanging from his mouth. And they went. He took the family and they went. They visited the Gay Head Lighthouse, where apparently Barney Frank stays when he goes out to Martha's Vineyard.
That'll be enough out of you. God, I mean,
What happened?
We're out
Wait,
of
I have
time.
more.
Thankfully, we're out of time. No, we don't.
and then-
we don't have any time for any more. Thank God. 5 till the hour.
Imus in the morning.
27-foot Sea Ray named 2 loose screws hit a buoy, then the rocks near the old GM plant in Sleepy Hollow just before midnight. The skipper, 48-year-old Robert Boschel of Yorktown, was drunk on the Hudson.
He failed the field sobriety test at the scene, and then he subsequently submitted to a chemical test. His blood alcohol content was a .21, which is nearly triple the legal limit in the state of New York.
Westchester County Police Lieutenant James Luciano says Bochel's wife and dad were hurt, but they're going to be okay. Boschel faces BWI charges and possibly more. Live in Westchester, Scott Salato, 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com.
Also in the headlines, 4 NYPD officers recovering after an overnight crash involving a pair of police cruisers. Authorities say the accident happened near the intersection of West 72nd and West End Avenue just after 2. Both cruisers responding to an emergency call when the crash happened. The officers suffered neck and back injuries, but all are expected to fully recover. And texting while driving now illegal in New York State. Governor Patterson has signed a measure into law banning motorists from using BlackBerries, cell phones, other electronic devices behind the wheel. Violators will be hit with a $150 fine. The ban will go into effect as of this November. 68 degrees and cloudy. The complete Weather Channel forecast coming up. I'm Charles McCord with breaking news and stimulating talk on 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com.
Very slick. All right, here's Chuck with the news. Good morning.
Morning, I'm Ann. The conclusion of an abduction mystery in the state of California. El Dorado County, California authorities say Philip Garrido fathered 2 children with kidnapping victim Jaycee Dugard after he had abducted Jaycee in 1991. Under Sheriff Fred Kohler says Dugard surfaced this week in Concord, California, and revealed Garrido was on federal parole for a conviction in 1971 that had involved a rape and kidnap case. Garrido was subsequently called to a parole meeting after he was spotted by a couple of police officers trying to come onto the campus of the University of California at Berkeley to hand out some sort of religious tracts, religious literature. Kohler says Garrido arrived at this meeting, the parole meeting, accompanied by people who the parole officer had never seen before. His wife, 2 minor children, and a woman who later was identified as Jaycee Dugard.
Ultimately, the female named Alyssa was identified as Jaycee Dugard. Subsequent interviews with Jaycee and the Garridos provided information that only the victim and the kidnappers could know. DNA confirmation is being sought to confirm Jaycee's identity.
Garrido and his wife Nancy are in custody. Kohler says the process of reuniting Jaycee with her family has now begun, and it's a very peculiar case. Jaycee's mother has spoken with her, and the father, who's a stepfather, the 2 are now separated, but he says in chatting with this woman now, 29 years old, it was almost as though he were talking to somebody still 11 years old. She had not advanced any at all, reportedly had never seen a doctor, had never been to school, nothing like that, and been held in isolation completely in this compound, as it's described, that was hidden away in the Garridos' backyard.
And the stepfather was a suspect for all these years.
He was a suspect, and now he's vindicated.
Horrible story.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, you have to wonder, though. The guy gets the police shake him down at Berkeley, and then he has a scheduled, or apparently an unscheduled visit with the parole officer. He's just been interrogated by the police, and the moron shows up with everybody. Well, so he had to want to get caught.
There was this, as it's described, man, a rambling telephone interview from jail with KCRA of Sacramento. Said that he was relieved at being caught, said, "I feel much better now. This is a process that needed to take place." Nor is that the only strange quote. Garrido said, quote, he had completely turned his life around. He said, "You're going to find the most powerful story coming from the witness, from the victim. If you take this a step at a time, you're going to fall over backward, and in the end, you're going to find the most powerful, heartwarming story."
Oh, my God. So I bash his skull against the toilet bowl quick.
Not quick enough. 12 minutes after the hour, Charles continues.
Relatives of the late Senator Ted Kennedy reflecting on the last days of his life. Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. said his uncle remained as active as he could right up until the end.
I guess a week before he died, he was out on his boat, and he was very sick by then, and he was losing some of his ability to find words.
About 25,000 people, it's estimated, have filed past Senator Kennedy's casket at his brother's presidential library, the JFK Library in Boston. More expected during the day today before a private memorial service takes place later this evening, and then Senator Kennedy's funeral is scheduled for tomorrow. With
Senator Chris Dodd says he will push hard to. We're going to talk to Senator Dodd, come up here in about an hour. But our old friend Senator Dodd says he will push hard to win the far-reaching health care overhaul championed by a man who he considered almost a brother, Senator Edward Kennedy. Dodd's decision to carry on Kennedy's career-long quest for universal health care, not surprising. They were friends since Dodd arrived in the Senate nearly 30 years ago and served together for years on the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee that Senator Kennedy chaired. Tapped by Kennedy himself, Dodd filled in for his ailing friend this summer as Kennedy's committee tackled and approved a bill to expand health insurance coverage. So we'll talk to Senator Dodd about that. Coming up 13 after the hour. Also, Warner Wolf is going to do sports, and the Godfather will be on the program. And probably he's on his way back to the studio now. Well, the Fox Business News Business Report is sponsored by it's not the Fox News. It's the Fox Business Network. Business Report is sponsored by the Fox Business Network. Duh. Time Warner Channel 43 in New York City. Tough financial times call for the best. The best is the Fox Business Network. If you're not in New York City, log on to foxbusiness.com. Speaking of Fox, I got a letter from a guy who said he was all upset with me. A ranch foreman wants me to take his name off the barn because he thinks I've become a raving right-wing nut because of my association with Fox, which is idiotic. They're not raving right-wing nuts, and I'm certainly not. And my friendship with Sean Hannity. I mean, I just... I don't even know how to respond to that.
Supposedly tolerant people are the most intolerant.
Idiotic. I was going to write the guy back just one of my famous letters, or infamous letters, and I decided not to.
Write it.
I just chucked it, And, it's just moronic. Speaking of Fox, Glenn Beck, who was insane. I mean, another guy I like. Now what? Did over 3 million people on his program the other night at 5 p.m. Beat O'Reilly 25-54. And O'Reilly pulls huge numbers. So, I love Sean Hannity. I mean, this guy should should be the kind of guy Sean Hannity is, by the way. Nothing to do with, have nothing to do with him. Politically, he's insane. Politically, but so's everybody. Find a category for me. Let me know what it is, by the way. If you know where I'm coming from, let me know, will you? Because I don't. Anyway, the Fox Business Network sponsors this report. Dow Jones and Dodgers gained 37 points. You know what I think? I think what the most people think. So, 95.80, it'll trade at this morning. The futures are up only about 30 points, something like that. Crude oil sold yesterday, $72.49 a barrel. Spot gold, $945.50 an ounce. Boeing going to fly that 787 Dreamliner jet into the air, see if that'll stay up there. That'll blow up on them. And DirecTV looking to make a deal with TBS and TNT. So I watch the Fox Business Network, incidentally, and everything else out here at the ranch on DirecTV, channel 359, the Fox Business Network. So y'all check it out. So, it is 16 minutes after the hour. One is going to do sports, and then we're going to talk with the aforementioned Jim Nance later this morning. Shortly after that, Senator Chris Dodd, and in a couple of minutes here, along with Warner, 16 after the hour. From Delbert McClinton's new album, Acquired Taste, already a hit album. This thing called I Need to Know.
Well, I lay down when you leave me, and I close my eyes, tell myself
It is 23 after the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. This portion of the program sponsored by Cholula Hot Sauce, the one with the wooden cap, and the one that's all over every table in the dining room here at the Imus Cattle Ranch for Kids with Cancer. Kids love it. And the official sponsor of the Imus Golf outing. So I say to Deirdre yesterday, who has me on this, do you know I have cancer, Charles?
I heard about cancer? It somewhere.
Battling it holistically. And I'm on this POW Bataan Death March diet, along with all of these other supplements that appears to be working. And I say to her, I said, do you hear what Lupica and the Lupica boys do? They take a bag of turquoise buffalo tortilla chips, which are fabulous, put them in a bowl, dump about a half a bottle of Cholula original hot sauce on it, shake it up, and have some Cholula chips.
That's cool.
I said, can I have that?
No,
she said, no, you can't. Not going to happen. I can have Cholula. And she let me have the other day, first time in 4 months, Well, not what she let me have. It's what she's about the smartest person I know, so, I mean, I'm just doing what she says. She let me have 6 chips the other day.
Oh, my God.
Chuck.
Manna from heaven.
So, I had these 6 chips. You know what I thought to myself? I'm living the dream. 100 Sports, sponsored by American-made Peerless Boilers. Get a Peerless Purifier Pinnacle Series. They get a $1,500 tax credit. Not a lot of time, but we have some time. And here, with all that.
Morning, Iron Man NFL exhibition last night in Philadelphia. Half the stadium empty. Michael Vick entered the game on the Eagles' second play from scrimmage. He was in for 6 plays, completed 4 passes for 19 yards, ran for 1 yard, lined up as a wide receiver. Here was Merrill Reese, WYSP Philadelphia.
Here's Vick again. He lines up behind center in the shotgun. McNabb split out to the far side. The left-handed quarterback holds the ball. He's rolling. He looks. He turns it up, but he's tripped after a 1-yard gain.
After the game, Vick on his performance.
We didn't put a limit on the amount of plays that I was going to play. We went out there and some things worked, some things didn't.
And that was one of the plays that didn't. Eagles beat the Jags 33-32. Baseball last night, the Red Sox with a chance to cut the Yankees' lead to 5, lost to the White Sox 9-5. Junichi Tozawa gave up all 9 runs. Things got so bad, Sox shortstop Nick Green pitched the 8th and 9th innings. Earlier, the Yankees lost to Texas 7-2, so Texas cuts the Red Sox lead to 1.5 for the wild card. Dodgers made it 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, lead by 4. Las Vegas police have seized 2 handguns, ammunition, and 2 bulletproof vests from the home of Floyd Mayweather Jr. after investigating a shooting outside a Vegas skating rink. The alleged victim apparently sent Mayweather a text message saying he hoped Mayweather loses to Juan Manuel Marquez on September 19th. He said 10 minutes before the shooting, Mayweather came up to him and threatened him. The man arrested for the shooting is an associate of Mayweather. No one was hurt in the shooting. And there was a great article in Sports Illustrated about the 1975 World Series champion Big Red Machine. You remember them?
All right.
Before the season began, Reds manager Sparky Anderson told the team, we have 2 kinds of players. First, they are superstars, Rose, Bench, Joe Morgan, and Perez. They have their own rules and special privileges. The rest of you are turds.
Wait a minute.
Sparky Anderson. That's what he said.
That's what I said to you guys.
Little League, yeah.
We have Charles, Bernie, and Lou. The rest of you are turds. After they are. I can't just believe how stupid I am.
Oh, man.
Minutes past the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Senator Chris Dodd is coming up. We're going to talk to him. Kind of surprise for me. I got up this morning, 3 o'clock here in New Mexico. It's the last day for the Imus Cattle Ranch Kids with Cancer for 2009. Been a great, fabulous year. And we take kids back today, and then I'm going back to New York in 2 or 3 days. And Carl Jeffers is also coming up, and the Godfather's here. So, how are you, Godfather? Good. That's good. So this portion of the Imus Morning program is sponsored by the Hackensack University Medical Center, one of the great hospitals in the country. When you feel good, they feel good. Please welcome now to the Imus Morning program, the best sportscaster on the planet, with the possible exception of maybe Mike Breen. Here is Jim Nance. Good morning,
Well, I
Mr.
can't
Nance.
disagree with that. Good morning, man.
A
little bit of one, yes.
Not back on a blower.
Please.
I agree,
So
Jim.
bad.
That's perfect.
I'm trying to conserve myself. I got a busy weekend here, so I'm a little worried about the voice
Tell me
holding
what
up,
you're
to be
doing.
honest. We got
What are
a
you
football game tonight, the season premiere of the NFL on CBS. Your pal Phil Simms will be joining me in the booth down here in Washington. The Patriots and the Redskins tonight on the CBS television network. And then tomorrow and Sunday, we scoot right back up north and we do this Barclays golf tournament out at Liberty National, the first round of the FedEx playoffs.
It's pretty good. Old Charles Barkley got a golf tournament named after himself, isn't it?
It's not the Charles Barkley Invitational, but no, this is the Bob Diamond Barclays people that do some good things.
Oh, well, I'd forgotten this morning. I don't know why, but it was early, and I was thinking about something else. And of course, I know that you do golf because I hear you do that all the time, and basketball because you are great. I mean,
here comes the head. Okay.
No,
you've forgotten.
But I had forgotten you did football.
John.
I know. I mean, well, you're right. I mean, what a moron I am.
To you, man? Too much sun out there.
Yes,
I work with the Sims, and this will be our 6th year. We're calling the Super Bowl this year. We do it every 3rd year. So tonight starts the 50th year of the NFL on CBS, and we're excited about it. Phil was saying last night at dinner that it's been a long time since Don's invited me on the show. So it's been almost a year. He said, I've come to the conclusion I don't miss him at all.
Sims is a
He did have one message to send along. Hello to Charles.
Well, I'm glad to hear that after the I-Man had forgotten all about Mr. Nance and Mr. Sims and that wonderful combination in a football booth.
Come on. You remember one time I had a specially encoded, embedded comment for you in a playoff game, no less.
Really? What was that?
Which I get reminded by people all the time that I would stoop that low just for the I-Man, but I did it out of love. Just one more cow.
Well, we played that this morning.
I hear about it. I have people stop me in airports still about that one.
Oh, no, that was genius,
We
man.
use your line. I just had to find a way to insert it.
Well, no, but the line, fine. The line was inspired, incidentally, by our friend Crawford.
Oh, yeah.
Just one more cow.
One more cow. It had to do with Logan Mankins, who still is the starting left guard for the Patriots, who grew up as on a ranch out in California where he used to be some sort of junior calf roping champion. I found some extreme way to bring it in into the broadcast.
No, I know that now.
Is there anything you would like me to say tonight on the game? A kind of a subtle shout out to the I-Man? Uh-oh.
Yes.
Now, keep it. I don't need like some 5-worded phrase here. I need a word that we can actually say on television.
Well, I don't have just a word.
Well, let me see what it is.
No more cows.
No more cows. No, we can't go there again.
No more cows.
I don't think we can do that
No more
again.
cows?
We got to get off the cow thing.
Well, okay.
No more cows. No more cows, baby.
Well, if you can't do it, you can't do it.
It would take a.
What are your thoughts on Senator Edward Kennedy?
I've just been watching some of the things this morning here. From all the early news reports, and watching them transport the body and the live shots of the body lying in state. But I met the man one time. Actually, I did. I met him at a fundraiser in Washington, and I told him I heard him on the I-Man all the time.
Well, that was unfortunately a situation involving Charles McCord and Larry Kennedy.
About that. I'm telling you, I've been thinking about how many times he was on your show.
Yeah, well, but God bless him. The people of Boston obviously love him dearly.
It was well beyond Boston.
I know that. And one of the great senators in the history, well, I mean, forget where one agrees with him politically or not, it's irrelevant. One of the great senators in the history of that body. So we're going to talk with Senator Chris Dodd coming up in just a little bit. He's your senator there in Connecticut. So can't imagine you voting for him, being kind of the essentially right-wing nut that you are.
Don't get carried away now. We've got Senator Dodd and Senator Lieberman, men who make a difference.
Yeah. So coming up here, September 16th, is the Imus Second annual.
Boy, what
Imus
a first one you had, too. That was really something. Oh, thank you.
You were great. But you have a previous engagement because apparently you've decided you no longer care about little children with cancer. It's awful, isn't it? I mean, I really should be horsewhipped. No, you have something else to do.
I waited around for you to personally invite me. I thought, Don's going to call me back. He'll call. But I never heard from you. So I had to schedule something else.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the
Well,
MC
that's even better. Come on. No, I've got to be in the UK, believe it or not. And you're going to say not, but I do have a obligation over there actually in Scotland. So I got.
We all really liked hearing those stories of yours about when you played golf with President Bush and President Clinton. So those people were just riveted.
Well, now is this in jest? What are we doing here?
Well,
it did seem like the crowd. It did seem like the crowd was.
We had to endure that big ego.
Seemed like it was really into it.
We had to endure you feeding your ego there and name dropping about this golf game you had with President Bush, 41.
I've had that several times with 41 and 42. I've played many times with 41.
Okay, fine. There you go. Right again.
Part two, maybe next year.
I will put this on tape.
I was with 41 this weekend, by the way. Sends his best.
How is he?
He's a good man.
Yes, he's a great man. He really is.
He has high praise for you. He really, truly does.
Well,
that's why he's always invited you guys up to see him. And I've tried to tell you that it's a mistake that you haven't accepted that generous invitation.
No, I'm not going to Kenny Buckport and get on that boat with this
don't go
crazy
on the boat,
man.
Then. Just sit on the back patio and.
Well, I'll be happy to do
he's
that.
Always invited you for lunch.
A couple of glasses of vodka?
No.
Well, no, I guess I couldn't do that. Let me ask you a couple of football questions before I let you go. Michael Vick, what's your view of that?
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the Vick and the Favre stories. It's just like, come on, enough already. I mean, there's so many interesting things going into this year, and they just, it's like the media seizes one thing, and you know how that is, and it's just one story after another. I know there was obvious interest in him playing last night for the first time, but I don't like glorifying individuals in team sports. That's really kind of the way I look at it. It's a team sport. Vick's going to get his chance to play again, and I guess he should have that chance to do that. I mean, he served his time, and he's not going to be the starter there. Donovan McNabb is, and to me, by the first or second week of the season, since he's already played the preseason, we're not going to care anymore. He's going to help them, by the way. I think in terms of like Michael Vick, the football player, I think he can bring something.
I was talking to Mike Lupica, who holds the same view about Vick as you do.
On the air or off the air?
Until I pointed...
Oh, well, you talk to him off the air, too, though, don't you? Well, how come we don't have that relationship?
Because I don't have your phone number.
Give it to you. I have yours.
Okay. I know. I understand that. Anyway, I was talking to Lupica about Vick, and then Lupica, I asked Lupica if he had a dog, and he said yes. They have a little Norwich Terrier. That's the little short, fat one with the ears that stick up, not the cute one like we had, the Norfolk Terrier. And the little dog's name, of course, it's unfortunate, but the little dog's name is Cameron. Like my son's dog, Virgil, is named after one of the Earp brothers, one of the great heroes of the Southwest. And Lupica named his dog after a cheerleader from Staples High School, or wherever. And when I pointed out to Lupica that if Michael Vick had a chance, maybe not now, but who knows, he would take little Cameron and put Cameron in the pen with the two pit bulls and let the pit bulls eat Cameron. And so then Lupica was upset with me because it's actually his little daughter's dog. So, do you have
poor Michael Vick. I mean, he served his time. He's not going to get his hands on little Cameron.
Do you have a dog?
He's not going to feed Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron's dead.
Oh, Cameron's gone?
Down. Well, not yet.
I see.
But, okay. Do you have a dog?
No.
Okay, well, good.
These are some interesting questions about the NFL. These really are.
And Brett Favre, I guess he played a little bit.
That's all you have. That's how much knowledge you have about the NFL. You take the two things that's all anybody's talking about. What do you want me to tell you about Brett Favre?
And the Dallas Cowboys And the scoreboard in the Dallas Cowboy game. They're going to move that. Sure, going to move
I saw that. I went down and surveyed that stadium earlier this summer for a concert.
Right after you played golf with
I was down there with my daughter to a Jonas Brothers concert.
Oh, God.
They are really talented.
Hang the phone up, Lou. They are what's wrong with this country, the Jonas Brothers. They are talented.
Have you seen these kids? They're unbelievably talented.
Of course I have. I've seen them, so I have to watch their television program with
kids.
Wyatt. Of course
I
I've
saw
seen
them 3 times in concert this summer.
They are dreadful.
They are enormously talented. They will be stars for many years.
Oh my God! Yes, in Vegas in some lounge.
No, I'm talking like
Floyd Mayweather trying to shoot him. Oh God! Oh, now I'm going to whip your ass. What's the matter with you? Have you lost your mind?
Drug test.
Hey, Nance, I got to let you go, but we love you, and we'll watch you tonight. Redskins.
Hey, no more
Patriots,
cows, baby.
DC, CBS. No more cows, baby. No more cows.
Imus in the morning.
In about 10 minutes here on the Imus Morning program, we'll talk with Senator Chris Dodd from Connecticut. And then a little later on this morning, Carl Jeffers. Please welcome now, however, to the program, Don Corleone, the Godfather.
Good morning,
Godfather.
Imus. Se lei vuole la sua salsiccia stare caldo, le devi mangiare di pepi speziati. If you want your sausage to stay hot, you must eat spicy peppers.
Okay.
I'm somewhat confused about this South African lady track star. This woman who may be carrying a little sack of meatballs in her running shorts. Apparently there's some doubt as to her true gender. I don't understand. This is not rocket science. Either she's got a sausage or she doesn't. But yet they feel the need to subject her to a test. How does one prove whether someone is a woman or a man? Have them fold a map? This woman wins the world championship 800-meter race. Right away they want to check her testosterone level. Just because she looks like a man. They say she may have female parts that resemble those of a male. So what? My wife has a mustache, yet she's still the mother to my 4 children. Bill Parcells has seni di femmina, sweater stromboli, breasts like a woman, yet no one doubts his gender. In fact, there are many men whose genitalia resembles a woman's, yet they're still considered male. Don Imus, for example. They say it will be weeks till the results of this test are available. I don't know why it takes so long. Se picci alzare poi il bellibusto. If she pees standing up, she's a dude.
That'll be fine.
In the old country, you prove your manhood not by your appearance or how big your cannoli is. You do it by strong-arming a shopkeeper, breaking a deadbeat's legs, putting 2 slugs in the back of the head of a bound and kneeling coward for not allowing you to wet your beak in their protection operation. But if you're a man, you act like a man. There are men who act like women. We call them finocchios. We also have mannish women. We call them la spazola, la flanella indossa, la lesbica di motocicletta. Rosie.
Well, just no. The Godfather here on the Imus Morning program. A minute till the hour. A couple of appearance things I want to alert you to. Tomorrow night out on Long Island at the Brokerage Comedy Club, Rob Bartlett will be appearing.
He's my godson.
Pardon me?
Yes.
He's your godson? Okay. Sound like you have some sort of speech impediment.
I think you have crap in your ears.
Great comeback. Can we expect more of that with Rob Bartlett at the Brokerage Club tomorrow night?
Tutta la multa quando lei ha relazione si onda lavora del ristorante, ma alla fine ogni giocatore sarà rotto. It's all
What's
fine
that?
when you're having intercourse on a restaurant table, but eventually every player's going to get busted.
Yeah, maybe just stay in the city and go see Carol Foster. She'll be at Stand Up New York.
Oh no, I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think you must make the pilgrimage to Long Island.
It is 5 minutes now till the hour.
Imus in the morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Imus in the morning.
5 minutes after the hour, here on the Imus in the morning program. We're going to talk to Senator Chris Dodd a little bit here, and then Carl Jeffers is coming up. Warner Wolf's going to do sports. Tony Powell's in, and that bitch is crazy. Going to get a couple examples there. And Blind Mississippi, White Boy Pig Feast Dupree with the No More Cows Baby Blues. Sad morning for old Feast, but Feast spent most of the time in the abyss of the blues, Chuck.
That's how he gets by in life.
Great news for the Imus tournament coming up September 16th at the Great River Club in Milford, Connecticut. I've decided to auction off my 1954 five-window Chevrolet completely nuts and bolts frame-off restoration by old Phil down there at PG Classic Shop, Lomas Boulevard, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yes, I paid for the restoration. Yes, it's got a Chevy 3 short block in it, an Edelbrock dual plane intake, Holly fuel injection, automatic transmission, front suspension, power rack, sway bar, disc brakes, rear suspension, a Chevy 10-bolt axle, TCI 4-link coil over custom suspension, air conditioning, CD player, power windows, AM, FM, iPod stereo system, interior with leather, carpet. It's a gorgeous truck. It's painted kind of a red primer. And we'll auction it off at the golf tournament on September 16th. Bidding will start at $50,000. The truck is valued by one of these people that appraise your auction and stuff at $6,000. So coming up. How are you?
Okay, last go around. Yesterday. He's from. No. Yeah. I'm with me, and Austin has his belt buckle to show. He has his belt buckle with him.
What is it with you? Did you decide, hey, I got a great idea. Let's, Wyatt, are you okay?
Yeah? What do I do when I have to cough?
Well, stop hacking like you're in a TB ward. God, calm down, could you?
Listen who's talking.
I brought you a cup of coffee, too.
Hand it over. I mean, thank you, sweetheart.
Here you go, honey.
Hey, well, we've lost our picture. Is that the situation, Bigfoot? Oh, we're not getting any answer, apparently. All right. Well, you guys hang on a few minutes, okay?
All right.
Please welcome to the Imus Morning Program, the senior senator from the great state of Connecticut, our old friend, Senator Chris Dodd. Good morning, Senator Dodd.
Good morning, my old friend Imus. Good to hear your voice.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, doing well. Sad news last couple of days, and doing better on the personal health front, and got my girls here in Connecticut. We're spending a couple of weeks getting back on our feet, so we're doing okay.
Very sorry that your friend died. I know he was like a brother to you, and tell me a little bit about your relationship with him.
Oh, he was terrific. He was a great pal and friend, and 30 years, really, and just great company. I mean, what do they say in life? If you, at the end of your days, you count on your hand 4 or 5 great friends, you're a pretty rich person, and I've certainly lost one of my 4 or 5. He was just a great pal, a great friend.
Will you, are you going to be able to attend the memorial service at the funeral?
I'm going to make an effort to get up there today and be there tonight at the library and tomorrow morning at the Mass. And I'm going to speak tonight. Mrs. Kennedy, Vicki asked me if I'd say a few words this evening, and so I'm going to try and do that, and then be at the Mass tomorrow morning, and then I'll come back to Connecticut. I've got my little gray 7-year-old is going to, at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, is going to make her first communion. So we're going to end the day on Saturday with a high note.
Oh, well, God bless her. Wyatt was asking about her, by the way, but just maybe.
Wyatt, we love Wyatt. We want to have a play date at some point with Wyatt when he's about 40, I told you.
What will you remember about Senator Kennedy, who's been described by a number of people on this program as perhaps the greatest senator ever served in that body, certainly the greatest liberal senator. But what will you remember?
History will judge those things. If he were... He'd enjoy this conversation, but I think he'd be the first to tell you, like time will tell, but certainly look in the last 50, 60 years, it's hard to think of anybody else who's had as big an impact on the country as Teddy has had on just so many. I think someone counted up something like 500 pieces of legislation that bear his name, and they range across the spectrum from civil rights and labor rights, immigration issues, health care issues, obviously. He introduced the first national universal health care bill 40 years ago. And things like children's health, just countless issues. And so it's just, I really can't. There are people who've been great senators. Obviously, Lyndon Johnson was a very powerful and effective member of the Senate for years. People like Hubert Humphrey. I get down a long list of people I think have made significant contributions, but there's no one that comes close to Teddy's contribution. So I suspect history will give him a special spot in the annals of the history. There's that reception room off the floor of the United States Senate. Ironically, his brother back in the mid-1950s was the head of a commission that was asked to choose who were the 5 most important senators up until about 1955 that had served. And the first 3 were easy, I think, Clay, Calhoun, and Webster. And then they chose Robert Taft and Senator LaFollette of Wisconsin to be the other 2. Ironically, I was asked to fill out 2 more of those slots a few years ago, and I chose Wagner of New York and Vandenberg of Idaho, who was very responsible for the Marshall Plan. But there's a lot of ovals that Bromidi, the great artist back in those days who designed the art inside that room, that left vacant. And I will promise you this, that at some future date, probably another 10, 15, 20 years, they'll be filling out additional ovals of people who deserve special recognition in that room, and I'll guarantee you that Teddy will be in one of them.
Interesting I heard somebody describe on this program as a mensch Senator Kennedy was, because for years on this program, of course, Charles McCord and Larry Kenney made horrible fun of the senator, and yet my wife went down to visit him about some initiative involving, I can't remember what it was, but...
it was combating autism bill.
Autism, sure.
And she came back and talked about how wonderfully gracious he was to her and how much fun he was and how much he loved his dogs. And
Well, listen, I mean, a lot like you in this sense. I mean, he understood life. I mean, he understood he was a foil. I was talking to several of our Republican friends in the Senate called me over the last 2 days to express their condolences. And one of them said, he said, I used to tell Teddy I'd go back home and campaign and use him as an example of everything that was wrong with American politics. And then he'd come back on Monday and apologize to Teddy and tell him how much he loved him and cared about him. And I think, Teddy, I'm sure his brow would furrow occasionally, wondering what people were thinking of, but he understood it in that sense, that he had become an icon in many ways for people's politics and humor. And but he understood as well there were larger and important issues. In autism, as you recall, when Rick Santorum and I worked on that bill together a number of years ago, you were tremendously helpful on that. And, of course, I didn't have a better ally in that battle than Senator Kennedy. The $800 million that we authorized for that bill came out of that Health Committee, and it wouldn't have happened without him.
Well, and I understand you're going to carry on
Absolutely.
the battle for...
I've got to make a choice the next few days, weeks, whatever, and decide where to do. And obviously, was honored that Teddy asked me to fill in for him over the last number of months in this health care debate. I got to tell you, that morning, we finished our work on that committee on July 15th, and after 5 weeks, it was the longest, what they call a markup of a bill. That is when you sit down and try and write the bill. In the history of that committee, I'm told anyway, and one of the longest in the Senate. And the morning of July 16th, about 6:30 in the morning, that phone rang. This is now what I'm talking about, just about 6 weeks ago. And this voice on the other end of the phone was just ecstatic over his committee. Was the first one to report out a health committee bill, and his bill, the bill that he had actually largely written, and was just euphoric over the over all of that. And he's the kind of guy that in moments of great stress and difficulty, the first call you'd get would be his, or moments of great joy. When my children were born, first call would come from him. When my sister died about 6 weeks ago, first call from Teddy. When I'm in recovery after that surgery I went through on prostate cancer a few weeks ago, first call from Teddy. Some choice comments about catheters, which I cannot even repeat on this show,
You sound terrific, Senator. And you know me, I wouldn't tell you that unless you did.
How are you doing? You doing okay?
I'm doing great. So, God bless you. You hang in there and carry on, will you?
I will, I promise. Great to hear your voice. My best to everybody.
We'll get you back in the Senate, too. Thanks, Senator. It's a quarter after the hour. Senator Chris Dodd here on the Imus in the Morning program. And, I mean, I asked you to a couple of comments about your meeting with Senator Kennedy. And I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it.
No, you just said what were you down there for? What bill? So, I mean, usually you get mad at me if I go on. That's why you didn't say anything, because you said I interrupt with your interview.
No, I don't.
And then I know Senator Dodd, so I thought, but then I just know how you are.
What did you hear this, Charles?
I certainly do, and I sympathize with it.
Damn right.
What?
Because if I said more, you would have told me to shut up, or that I interrupted and I went over the line, and then you'd be screaming, I just asked you to answer the question.
I wouldn't. Wyatt, are you okay?
Wyatt, you got to stop.
You got to stop hacking.
I'm fine.
Well, then turn the microphone off, go out with the children, and stop coming in there hacking like you're coughing up a lung.
I'm fine. I just had to cough.
Why don't we have Austin come in and he could...
Because we don't have a lot of time.
All right, well...
And you're not, by the way, you're not reluctant to yak at me all day long and suddenly get on the radio. And by the way, I wouldn't tell you to shut up. Because I know. Oh,
you wouldn't?
No. Because
let's ask the children. They're all standing there.
Have you ever heard me tell my wife to shut up?
Yes.
You bastards are walking to the airport. That's what you're doing. 16 after the hour. I didn't mean to call the children bastards, but you know what I'm saying.